Dawn, Part 1. Vaneska felt a strange tingling in her fingertips. It wasn't the first time she held a gaming console, but today was different. The screen didn't just flicker normally, it radiated a warm, golden light that smelled of freshly cut grass and pine needles. Before she could even blink, the room around her vanished. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't standing on the carpet in her bedroom. She stood atop a hill that wasn't rounded, but composed of perfect green cubes. The sky above her wasn't a blue infinity, but a beautiful mosaic of light blue squares, across which clouds resembling white pillows drifted. "I'm in Minecraft," Vaneska exhaled, her voice sounding clear and bell-like. She looked at her hands. They weren't her usual palms, but neat, slightly blocky adventurer's hands. She was wearing her favourite turquoise t-shirt, which now matched the clear water in the pond below the hill. First steps into the unknown. Vaneska knew that time flowed differently in this world. The sun, a large glowing square, was high in the sky, meaning she had time to prepare for the first night. And every true player knows that the first night is a test of courage. She descended the hill toward the nearest grove. The trees here were tall, their crowns forming dense blocks of leaves. Vaneska approached one of them. "Sorry, little tree," she whispered, and reached for the trunk. To her surprise, she didn't need an axe. She only had to focus her will, and after a few strikes, the block of wood transformed with a soft pop into a small levitating cube that hopped right into her hands. "That's it!" she cheered. Soon she had enough wood in her backpack to craft her first work table. She placed it on the ground in the shade of a large oak. The work went smoothly. She crafted a wooden pickaxe and a shovel. She felt powerful. This world belonged to her.
A friend from the reeds. As Vaneska wandered along the river looking for a suitable spot for her first little house, she heard a strange sound. Meow? Meow, murr. She turned around and saw two yellow eyes in the thick sugar cane. It was a small cat. Its fur was black as coal, and it had white socks on its paws. However, it wasn't an ordinary Minecraft cat. It seemed wiser, as if it were waiting for something. "Hello, little one," Vaneska spoke to it, reaching into her backpack. She found a raw fish she had caught earlier in the shallows. As soon as she held the fish toward the reeds, the cat jumped out. It landed gracefully on a block of sand and hungrily bit into the treat. "I'll call you Shadow," Vaneska decided. The cat purred contentedly and rubbed against her blocky leg. From that moment on, she was no longer alone. Building the first shelter. The sun slowly began to sink toward the horizon, and the sky took on shades of orange and purple. Vaneska knew she had to act fast. She found a small cave in the side of a mountain and decided to turn it into her temporary home. With Shadow by her side, she began to dig. The blocks of stone vanished under her pickaxe, clearing space for a cozy room. Shadow sat on a raised stone and watched the surroundings intently. Vaneska built a door of dark wood and fitted glass into the windows, which she smelted from the river sand. "Now for a bed," she murmured to herself. Fortunately, a few sheep were grazing nearby. Vaneska traded some wheat for wool, and soon a soft red bed stood in the corner of the cave. When the last rays of sun disappeared and darkness enveloped the world, Vaneska lit torches. The cave walls were bathed in warm light. Outside, the first groan echoed. Zombies were crawling out of their hiding places, and the bones of skeletons rattled somewhere in the distance. The night mystery. Vaneska lay in bed with Shadow sleeping at her feet. However, she couldn't fall asleep. She looked out the small window at the stars, which looked like scattered diamonds on black velvet. Suddenly she saw something unusual. Something was glowing in the meadow in front of her house. It wasn't fire, nor the light of a torch. It was a soft, bluish light that pulsed with the rhythm of a heartbeat. "Shadow, look," she whispered. The cat immediately jumped up and pricked its ears. Vaneska carefully cracked open the door. She knew it was risky, but curiosity was stronger than fear. Sword in hand, she slipped outside. Shadow walked closely behind her, his tail bristling. They reached the spot where the light welled up directly from the ground. Vaneska pushed aside the tall grass and saw a strange phenomenon. A block was embedded in the earth, one she had never seen before. It wasn't stone, nor dirt. It was a crystal in which images moved. As Vaneska approached it, the images cleared. She saw a castle made of floating islands, a dragon with glowing eyes, and herself, holding a golden key. "What is this?" she gasped. As soon as her finger touched the crystal, a quiet thud shook the entire world. The ground beneath her feet trembled gently, and a small blue spark flew out of the crystal, settling on her chest like a brooch. The promise of adventure. At that moment, a piercing roar echoed from the forest. It wasn't a zombie or a spider. It was something much older and more powerful. Vaneska realized that her arrival in this world was no accident. The crystal was a map, and the spark on her chest was a compass. She quickly returned to the safety of the cave and locked the door tight. Shadow looked at her with his big eyes and meowed softly, as if saying, "It's only just beginning." Vaneska sat at the table and wrote the first sentence in her empty book. "My name is Vaneska, and today I found out that Minecraft is not just a game, but a world that needs a hero." Outside, a storm raged, triggered by her touch of the crystal, but Vaneska was no longer afraid. She knew she had a friend, she had a home, and she had a goal. Tomorrow, she would follow the blue spark, deeper into the forests, beyond the borders of known biomes, to the place where blocks meet magic. She fell asleep with her hand on the warm blue spark, while lightning danced outside the window, and the glowing crystal in the meadow slowly faded into the morning mist, waiting for the moment Vaneska would find it again.